Aesthetics have really caught on in the past few years, and it's such an easy starting base to develop your own personal style and try out new looks and pieces. Fundamentally, they provide a well-rounded starter pack of outfits to slowly build and tailor your wardrobe. Nowadays, it feels like everything is a something core. So what better way to understand them than to let me run you through the best menswear aesthetics. Hey guys, I'm Henry and this is The Lowdown, where I talk about anything and everything fashion related. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out any future videos. And whilst you're at it, drop a like on the video to help me out. It's much appreciated. So the first aesthetic I want to run you through is also what I believe is the most influential one right now, and that is quiet luxury, old money. It's definitely been a hot topic for a minute now, specifically after the success of Succession, if you pardon the pun. In my eyes, it's very accessible, and that's at all tiers of fashion, whether it be entry level or super experienced. From high street to high end, the refined and laid back style can be adopted by anybody's wardrobe. As mentioned, the main theme of this aesthetic is being very clean, simple yet effective. There's minimal branding and it's smart casual with an elevated feel. I actually looked it up quickly, and the true definition of quiet luxury or stealth wealth is a subdued yet premium sense of style. As mentioned, Succession, the popular hit show, is a prime example of the sort of looks and outfits you will see within this aesthetic. So you've got them largely to thank for the popularization of this look. But there's also been a little bit of help from Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, the two brains behind the Row. The child sensations are the dynamic duo behind the Row. Alongside the likes of Laura Piana, the Row is a quiet luxury brand concentrating on elegance and sophistication. Some other key brands to mention for this aesthetic are the likes of Brunello Cucinelli, La Mer, and Jill Sander. But I'd argue that many of the historic fashion houses are all dabbling in this aesthetic now. As mentioned, because of the laid-back style of this aesthetic, it's very easy to replicate even on a budget. You may have even seen a bit of a trend going around on TikTok and social media at the minute, where girlfriends are recording their Zara boyfriends. To me, this clearly shows the quiet luxury aesthetic done at a high street level. And therefore, because of this, as a fashion novice per se, it is one of the easiest aesthetics to get a grip of and start building into your wardrobe without having to ruin your bank balance in doing so. I also find that due to its laid-back approach, it's a style which is ready for all occasions. It's ready for anything. Do you know what else requires minimal styling expertise? Subscribing to my channel. Whilst you're at it, you may as well drop a like on the video to help me with the algorithm. And I'd also love to hear your thoughts on if there's any aesthetics that I've missed out in the comment section below. Let's get a bit of a discussion going. The next aesthetic I think I need to explain to you is workwear. It's definitely another look that is very easy to adopt and bring into your wardrobe, and the name speaks for itself. Taking reference from recognized boots to the ground workwear brands such as Carhartt, Dickies and Wrangler, you might not be putting in your daily graft in these outfits, but you'll certainly look the part. Key items for this aesthetic include the likes of work jackets, aged cargos, chore jackets, as well as boots like Timberlands. This is another aesthetic that's seen on the runway quite a bit as well from the likes of Junya Watanabe, who really champion an elevated workwear feel. However, many streetwear focused brands such as Amiri, Louis Vuitton and Rude also really like to include this in their shows. Therefore, it's another one where you can find a lot of inspiration from the runway, as well as just from streetwear in general. Pinterest is another saving grace for workwear. It's easy to see some influential outfits that you can incorporate into your wardrobe or create a version of them for yourself. This aesthetic does lean on a more baggy and oversized fit, so it's a very straightforward wardrobe creation. However, it's far more casual and quiet luxury. You can argue you are able to dress this up a little bit, swapping those thrashed and aged cargos for perhaps some raw denim, and then swapping the tins for some smarter all black leather boots. However, it will always have a slight laid back feel to it, regardless of how you style it. So it's definitely something to keep in mind if you're looking for a more universal and straightforward aesthetic that you don't have to switch and change too much. Next up, we've got a definite favourite of Carti fans, it's Opium. I'd argue that without Carti, this would probably just be Balenciaga core or Demna core, because it's incredibly influenced by both the designer and that brand. But it would be unwise to ignore the prevalence and popularity of this style thanks to Playboi Carti and his aesthetic. In general, it's an ode to everything black and darkness as a whole, with a heavy reference to the work of Balenciaga, Rick Owens and Enfant Riche de Prime. The aesthetic also concentrates on heavily oversized silhouettes and distressed detailing, a little bit like workwear, but with a bigger twist. There's also slight favouring towards a bit more of a skinny aesthetic with this, very similar to YSL era and some older Raf Simons looks. So it's very open and adoptable to what you want to wear and how you want your pieces to fit. Speaking on that, I feel like Opium as an aesthetic also opens you up to a lot of historic and archive fashion too. I think if you ask any fan of this aesthetic, they would dream of wearing any of the pieces from Raf Simons' Autumn Winter 01 collection, the Riot collection. I mean, come on, that bomber is insane. Regardless of the high-end brands I've mentioned earlier, I do also think this can be done on a more conservative budget, as a lot of streetwear brands are doing versions of or alternatives to the options from the likes of Balenciaga. A prime example of this is emerging streetwear brand No Faith Studios. And I'd argue that Entai Studios also does versions of a lot of Rick pieces on a budget. So it's definitely not super high end, but I'd argue you will have to part with your money a bit more than the likes of Workwear or Quiet Luxury. I would also say this is in the deeper end of the fashion overall ocean. So if you're looking to something to dig a bit deeper into and invest more into after already dabbling in some other styles and other pieces within fashion, then it's definitely for you. The next aesthetic, which I believe is gonna only increase in popularity going forward, is Britpop. With the return of Oasis and the reunion of the band, I think this look is going to explode as we approach their tour dates next summer. I think Britpop or similar styles have been building in popularity for a while now, and I would argue that it's almost the guys' version of the Depop girly, with a heavy focus on clothing being thrown together and somehow still looking good. The outfits certainly open yourself up to more personalization and customization. Think tiny tops, baggy denim. It's almost a more British take on the LA fashion guy aesthetic that's been blowing up and trending on TikTok. One of the problems with this aesthetic is there's no true golden rule book for it. So in the same way that it allows you to create your own rules and change and adapt things to how you want, you have to be comfortable with making those decisions on your own. The world is really your oyster, but some people don't need that. They just want to be told what to wear and how to wear it. I think a lot of the key starting blocks for this can be found in vintage labels, the likes of Adidas, Fred Perry and Burberry being key true Britpop brands, but I think signature items are a bit more key for this aesthetic right now. As mentioned, teeny tops and big pants, but also think of Harrington jackets, trap jackets and random slogan t-shirts, like the one I've got on here. I do find that confidence is key with this look. Some people are gonna think you look like a walking disaster, and if you're not okay with that, I'd steer well away. But if you flaunt this to perfection, people are gonna think you're a style icon and a bit of a genius. Having a bit of confidence and know-how of how to style yourself already and moving into this aesthetic will reward you more. So similar to Opium, I think it's something that you need to already know how you want to dress and then start dabbling in this and get more and more confident as you piece together new pieces. The final and almost highest tier for the fashion aesthetics that I want to talk about today is Haute Couture. I'd argue that Haute Couture probably isn't the right name for this either, but it's anything and everything high fashion. We're talking pieces straight off the runway, the latest seasons from the biggest and trendiest labels right now, as well as more experimentary and different styling. There's also a lot of archive runway included, and I guess some more lesser known emerging brands can also be styled within this. The champions for this aesthetic though are certainly locked in and know what's hot and what's not. They know all the emerging trends, they know what's going on in fashion, and they also are super up to date with the upcoming runways and seasons. And one of the biggest things about this is arguably the consumers of this aesthetic don't give a about what you think. They wear what they want, when they want, and they know it looks good. Some of the key brands for this, I'd argue, are the likes of Martine Rose, Loewe, JW Anderson, or Kiko Kostadinov. But really, any of the brands you find at the likes of LNCC, Essence and Farfetch are included in this aesthetic. It's not for the faint-hearted or unexperienced. You need a lot of fashion XP to pull this off. So definitely think it's one that you should test out and gauge how you feel about the style, and maybe dabble in the other aesthetics as mentioned. Because I would argue that the people that also consume this aesthetic to the maximum level are open to all aesthetics. They're not limited to the four walls of one specific style. They will go in between all the ones I may have mentioned earlier and really experiment and just try out new things constantly. So once you've experimented and feel like you're cooking something up, definitely give this one a go. To conclude, I ultimately think menswear and men's fashion as a whole is a really fun place right now. There's so many different styles for you to play around with, and I've definitely missed some off. And a lot of them overlap between the different aesthetics that I have mentioned today too. And of course, as always, let me know in the comments your favorite aesthetics, or as mentioned, if I missed any out that you think are really good right now. Once again guys, thanks for tuning into this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.